How did Joe look to you today?
He looked fluid. Yeah, he looked fluid. You know, he moved well. It's always good having his spirit in a gym. It's good having his presence in a gym, and he has both in big ways.
Right, you talked about his spirit. This is a weird time with the deadline and all that stuff going on surrounding you guys. Is that kind of like a little bit of a lift from all that? Like his spirit, his attitude, does that kind of, maybe alleviate the tension a little?
You know, I don't feel the tension. I mean, because it's been talked about so much, maybe, it's not an elephant in a room at all. And the guys were great. Nerlens, Jaleel, trade room is, the group is very resilient. And I feel like because we've been dealing with this for so long, it's not as dramatic as at all. And so his spirit and his presence, it is what it is, more than it being timely because of the trade deadline. I don't feel the weight of a trade deadline like I have in the past.
Coach, when you look at Joel Embiid, I know you talked over the All-Star break about hoping to play on Friday. I know you practiced today, but it wasn't an intense practice.
Yeah.
And just to hear that he's doubtful for the whole weekend, do you sense in him that he's kind of gotten to an acceptance level where he doesn't let medical news affect him?
Do you mean an acceptance level where he will
not be playing this weekend? Probably.
I mean, he doesn't accept much. He is so competitive. It's always a real sort of the clarity of the delivery of why with him. He wants to play. I think, is that your question? Yeah. No, that's not how he's wired. And so he's competitive. He's at times, and I say this respectfully, he's a maverick. He's defiant sometimes, and great players have that quality. And, he's compliant. And he understands big picture stuff, but he doesn't take that type of news well at all. And we should all hear that with sort of an element of, well, that's good. That's how he's wired. He is highly, highly competitive.
How do you take that type of news? Because, I'm sure you would have liked to have him this weekend.
I feel that it's still not even close for me in relation to people's health. We've all come this far. And so any question we'll talk about Ben or Joel, it's a real simple answer for me to talk about I'm following the lead of doctors. I'm following the lead of people that understand the situation better than I do. And it's especially not even close after now a third and a half year of trying to move this program forward when you talk about somebody as important as Joel is. And I'm sure, or I assume, a conversation that we'll have in a minute about Ben.
I think it's maybe 5 or 6 wins that you guys have had without Joel, your last 5 or 6. What has the team done in your mind particularly well without him, and how has it grown without him being out there?
I feel like it's one of the sort of endearing parts of this group for me personally. This season's gone maybe the fastest out of any of my years in Philadelphia. And that comment is a direct reflection of the enjoyment I have, because I respect them, of coaching this group. I like coaching this group. They're really competitive. They put in great days. They coexist. It's as much of a team as we've ever had in very, very unlikely circumstances. And so to win with Jaleel, to win with Nerlens, to win with Joel or without any of those people, different wings, TJ lately has sort of held that point guard spot, but the group still stays the group. We still play the way we play, and I feel like that's the thing that most comes to my mind when you ask that question about not having Joel. It really is a blanket statement of our entire team and how I feel like we've handled this year. I give them a lot of respect and a lot of affection. I enjoy coaching them.
With Ben, how has he looked to you in his individualized work?
I mean, he just is such an elite athlete, and you know, sometimes when you draft people or people are listed in game programs, when I coached overseas, we called it the South Pacific shrink. They would get off a plane and inevitably be 2 inches shorter. And with Ben, like, you draft him, they say 6'10", you read about him, you say 6'10". When I first went up to him in Chicago when we met before we drafted him, it was clear he's 6'10". He is a big, young athlete. And so when I watch him move with his legitimate 6'10" frame, he moves like an elite athlete that's a big man. And so I see him out here, moving well. And his spirits also is in a good place. Obviously, we're going to wait for tomorrow's outcome to come. But again, to have him in a gym scripting with Joel is just another layer of having an uplifted gym and maybe one with greater spirit.
Coach, I just want to get clarification on something you said before about him playing 5-on-5 practices, 5 at least, just to get him in a position where he could play in a game. With those 5-on-5, is there a thought that he could do some of that time down in the D-League, or would that all have to be with the Sixers?
We haven't really talked about it. It's a fair question, but we really haven't talked about it. I feel like tomorrow, at some point, we're all going to be able to lay out a more genuine plan for him. And it's just something right now that we really haven't spoken much about. It's a fair question, but I feel like we're going to be good to go with some greater news and a more advanced detail of his plans after this scan.
Given that I know it's a hypothetical, but do you still stand where you did last week, and that if he is cleared tomorrow, you would like to see him play this season?
I personally would like to see him play this season. I don't backpedal from that, and I think my comments are really very much influenced by his reciprocal desire to play this year, which we all respect. Like everybody's got times, like clandestine conspiracy theories on why he might not want to play. I know in my heart, and speaking to him, he wants to get on a court and play basketball again. And I hope he can do that too. And if for some reason he can't, we'll deal with it. But I think it would help him to play NBA basketball and get his competitive juices going again if the doctors point us in that direction.
You mentioned Ben doing scripting with Joel. What has he done and what has Ben done in terms of being integrated with the team, even if it's not contact?
Just the basic stuff, like I'll use today as an example. I mean, scripting's the easiest because anytime a coach talks about scripting, it means it's like 5-on-0 stuff and it's team integration, and although it's not against, other bodies and so on, you still move and cut with teammates, you still pass to teammates, you still communicate with teammates. And so the scripting example is my easiest example of ways under the roof that we have been given with his restrictions that he has been integrated with teams. He's always, in team film sessions where we talk about, final third goals. We talk about, revisiting what we set out to try to do in Stockton and where we now sit. We talk about all those types of things, about how we're trying to grow our program and what we stand for. How do we want to play? What's our identity? And he's amongst all of those types of discussions that, to me, makes me feel like he is completely integrated within the confines that we have.
In terms of tomorrow's trade deadline, how confident are you that the team you coach at practice today will be the same one tomorrow late afternoon?
You've learned that you're not confident on anything, and there's nothing that would point to either my 16 years of experience in the league or my 3 previous trade situations here in Philadelphia that would make me say anything otherwise. And as I said before, we've maintained a very high level of transparency with my team. Me and my team, we talk freely, and so it doesn't feel as dramatic perhaps as it might have in other years.
Brett, do you get the sense, though, with that being said, with all the transparency and everything that's been going on, the guys are looking forward to tomorrow going so they can get it over with one way or the other?
I think so. I think, everybody, coaches, players, will find a new sort of clearer path to how you handle things once you know who the actual team is. And I don't feel like, anybody's going to be rocked no matter what the outcome is. I always wish the best for these guys. From just a personal level, you separate at times, coaching them as coach of the Sixers. There's a part of me that, wants the best for them. And I feel like the clarity that we'll all have on what that means to me now as the coach will obviously become clearer tomorrow. But I would bet they would feel the same, that they're looking forward to some finality on what their next few months might look like.